The starship Horizon's Edge moved slowly through the darkness of space. Its silver body reflected the light of distant stars. As it approached the Valorian homeworld, inside the ship, hundreds of crew members prepared for the most important mission in human history. They were about to meet an alien civilization for the first time in a peaceful setting. Kim Tae-ho stood near the large window of the observation deck. He watched the purple and blue planet grow larger as they came closer. He was 28 years old, with kind eyes and a gentle face. His job was simple but important. He was a cultural liaison officer. His duty was to help humans and aliens understand each other. "Are you nervous?" a voice asked from behind. Tae-ho turned and saw his best friend, Han Ji-woo. Ji-woo was the ship's security officer. He was tall and strong, but he always had a relaxed smile on his face. "A little," Tae-ho admitted. "We don't know much about them. The Valorians have kept to themselves for centuries." Ji-woo put a hand on his shoulder. "You'll be fine. You're good with people. And aliens are just people from different places, right?" Tae-ho laughed softly. "I hope it's that simple." The ship's communication system made a sound. Captain Park, Subin's voice filled the air. She was a woman in her 40s, with sharp eyes and a commanding presence. "All senior officers, report to the main hall. The Valorian delegation will arrive in 1 hour." Tae-ho took a deep breath and walked toward the main hall. The main hall had been transformed into a reception area. Beautiful lights hung from the ceiling. Tables were covered with food from Earth and other human colonies. Everything was perfect. The crew wanted to make a good impression. Tae-ho stood near the entrance with Ji-woo. He wore his formal uniform, dark blue with silver buttons. He felt uncomfortable in it. But today was not a day for comfort. "Remember," Captain Subin said to the officers, "the Valorians value calmness and control. They do not show emotions openly. Do not be offended if they seem cold. It is their way." Tae-ho nodded. He had read everything available about the Valorians. They were a powerful species. Their empire controlled dozens of star systems. They lived for hundreds of years, and they believed that emotions were private things, never to be shown in public. The doors of the main hall opened. The Valorian delegation entered. Tae-ho's breath caught in his throat. The Valorians were beautiful in a strange way. They had pale skin in shades of lavender and blue. Their eyes were silver, like moonlight on water. They moved gracefully, almost like they were floating. At the front of the group was the Valorian Emperor. He was tall and serious. His face showed no expression at all. Beside him walked a younger male, probably a prince. He had the same cold look as his father, but behind them, Tae-ho noticed someone different. She was smaller than the others. Her skin was soft, lavender, and her silver eyes seemed to hold 1,000 unspoken words. She had delicate pointed ears and long white hair that fell past her shoulders. She wore a flowing dress of pale blue silk. Princess Yuna. Tae-ho recognized her from the information files. Unlike the other Valorians, she did not look confident. Her eyes moved nervously around the room. Her hands were clasped tightly in front of her. She looked like she wanted to disappear. Captain Subin stepped forward and bowed respectfully. "Welcome to the Horizon's Edge. We are honored by your presence." The Emperor nodded slightly. "We accept your welcome. Let us hope this meeting brings understanding between our peoples." The formal greetings continued. Officers shook hands with Valorian nobles. Words were exchanged politely. Everything was proper and careful. Tae-ho watched Princess Yuna. She stayed behind her father, saying nothing. No one approached her. She seemed invisible. Something in Tae-ho's heart felt heavy. She looked so lonely. Without thinking, he walked toward her. Ji-woo grabbed his arm. "What are you doing?" "My job," Tae-ho said simply. "She's a guest. Someone should welcome her." He continued walking until he stood in front of the princess. She looked up, surprised. Her silver eyes went wide. Tae-ho smiled at her. It was a warm, genuine smile. The kind of smile he would give to a friend. "Hello," he said softly. "My name is Kim Tae-ho. Welcome to our ship. I hope you will be comfortable here." Princess Yuna stared at him. Her lips parted slightly, but no words came out. A faint color appeared on her lavender cheeks. Was she blushing? The other Valorians nearby turned to look. The prince frowned. Even the emperor glanced in their direction. Yuna's hands trembled. She opened her mouth to speak, but only a small, frightened sound came out. Then, without warning, she turned and walked quickly toward the door. She was running away. Tae-ho stood there, confused. Did I do something wrong? Ji-woo appeared beside him, looking amused. I don't think so. But I think you broke her. That's not funny. It's a little funny. Later that night, Tae-ho sat in his quarters, reading more about Valorian culture. What he found shocked him. For Valorians, emotional expressions were deeply private. A smile was not just a greeting. It was an intimate gesture, something shared only between very close people. By smiling at the princess so openly, Tae-ho had done something very bold. He groaned and covered his face with his hands. I basically flirted with her, in front of everyone. But as he thought about it more, he remembered her face. Those silver eyes, so full of surprise. That faint blush on her cheeks. The way she had trembled. She had not looked angry. She had looked overwhelmed. Tae-ho wondered about her. What was it like to live in a world where you could never show what you felt? Where smiling was forbidden? Where every emotion had to be hidden? It sounded like a prison. He thought about the loneliness in her eyes. He thought about how she had stood alone while everyone else talked and laughed. I want to know more about her, he whispered to himself. In another part of the ship, Princess Yuna sat in her guest quarters. Her heart was still beating fast. She pressed her hands against her chest, trying to calm herself. That human. That strange, confusing human. No one had ever smiled at her like that. Not her father. Not her brother. Not anyone in the entire empire. Valorians did not smile. It was improper. It was too revealing. But he had smiled at her like it was the most natural thing in the world. Like he was happy just to see her. Yuna did not understand. She did not understand him. She did not understand herself. But she knew one thing. She wanted to see him again. She wanted to understand why his smile made her feel so warm inside. 3 days passed since the Valorian delegation arrived on the horizon's edge. The peace negotiations were going slowly. Both sides were careful with their words. Trust was not easy to build. Tae-ho spent most of his time helping with cultural questions. He explained human customs to confused Valorians. He helped human officers understand Valorian traditions. It was tiring work, but he enjoyed it. But something else occupied his mind. Princess Yuna. Since their first meeting, she had avoided him completely. Whenever he entered a room, she would find a reason to leave. If their eyes met across the hallway, she would quickly look away. It was like he was a disease she was afraid to catch. She's still running from you, Ji-woo said one afternoon. They were eating lunch in the crew cafeteria. Tae-ho sighed. I didn't mean to scare her. I was just being friendly. Ji-woo laughed. Friendly for humans. For Valorians, you basically proposed marriage. That's not true. It's close enough. Ji-woo took a bite of his food. I heard the Valorian prince was very unhappy about it. He thinks you disrespected his sister. Tae-ho felt a weight in his chest. I should apologize to her. Good luck getting close enough to do that. Tae-ho spent the next few days learning everything he could about Valorian emotional customs. What he discovered was fascinating and sad at the same time. Valorians believed that emotions were dangerous. They thought feelings could cloud judgment and lead to bad decisions. So, from childhood, every Valorian was taught to suppress their emotions. They learned to hide happiness, sadness, anger, and love behind a mask of calm. Showing emotion in public was considered shameful. Even in private, Valorians rarely expressed their true feelings. Parents did not hug their children. Lovers did not hold hands. Friends did not laugh together. It sounded cold and empty to Taeho. He could not imagine living that way. But there was something else he learned. Despite their emotional control, Valorians still felt things. They felt deeply. They just never allowed those feelings to show. The pressure of holding everything inside must be enormous. Taeho thought about Princess Yuna. He thought about her nervous eyes and trembling hands. Maybe she was not running from him because she hated him. Maybe she was running because she felt something she did not know how to handle. He wanted to help her. He wanted to show her that feelings were not something to fear. But first, he needed to get close to her. His chance came unexpectedly. Captain Subin called him to her office one morning. She sat behind her desk with a serious expression. Taeho, I have a new assignment for you. Princess Yuna has requested a tour of the ship. Her father agreed, but he wants a human guide who understands Valorian customs. Taeho's heart jumped. She requested it? Yes. She says she wants to learn more about human culture. The captain gave him a knowing look. You're the best person for the job. But be careful. Don't cause any incidents. I understand. Taeho met Princess Yuna at the main corridor that afternoon. She stood alone, wearing a simple silver dress. When she saw him, her body went stiff. Color rose to her cheeks. Good afternoon, Princess, Taeho said. He kept his voice calm and did not smile. He did not want to overwhelm her again. I will be your guide today. Yuna nodded slightly. She did not speak. They walked through the ship in silence. Taeho showed her the medical bay, the engineering section, and the recreation rooms. He explained each area carefully. Using simple words, Yuna listened, but she rarely responded. It was frustrating. Taeho wanted to break through the wall she had built around herself. But he did not know how. Then they reached the crew lounge. Several off-duty officers were there, playing games and talking loudly. Someone told a joke, and the whole room burst into laughter. Yuna stopped walking. She stared at the laughing humans with wide eyes. What are they doing? She whispered. It was the first time she had spoken to him directly. They're laughing, Taeho said. Someone told a funny story, but there are so many of them. Laughing together. In public, Taeho smiled gently. That's normal for us. Humans laugh a lot. We think it's healthy. Yuna continued to stare. Her expression was strange. It was not disgust or confusion. It was longing. Does it feel good? She asked quietly. To laugh like that? The question surprised Taeho. He had never thought about it before. Laughing was just something humans did. Yes, he said honestly. It feels very good. It makes problems seem smaller. It brings people closer together. Yuna was silent for a long moment. Then she looked at him. Her silver eyes were soft and curious. You smiled at me, she said. Taeho felt his heart beat faster. This was the moment he had been waiting for. Because I was happy to meet you, he said simply. And because you looked like you needed someone to be kind to you. Yuna's eyes widened. Her lower lip trembled slightly. Kind, she repeated. Valorians are not kind. We are proper. We are controlled. But we are not kind. That sounds lonely. Yuna looked away. It is. They stood in silence while the laughter continued around them. Taeho did not push her. He waited. Finally, Yuna spoke again. Her voice was very small. I watched you, she admitted. These past few days. I watched how you talk to people, how you laugh with your friend, how you put your hand on someone's shoulder when they are sad. Taeho was surprised. He had not noticed her watching him. You feel things so freely, Yuna continued. You are not afraid. I do not understand it. But... She paused and took a shaky breath. I want to understand. I want to know what it feels like. Taeho's chest felt warm. This was not a princess speaking. This was a lonely girl who had never been allowed to feel. I can help you, he said gently. If you want, I can teach you about human emotions. But only if you feel comfortable. Yuna looked at him. For a brief moment, something bright flickered in her silver eyes. I would like that, she whispered. They continued the tour, but something had changed between them. The wall was still there, but now it had a small crack. And through that crack, light was beginning to shine. That night, Jiwoo found Taeho smiling at his dinner. What happened to you? Jiwoo asked. You look like you won the lottery. Taeho shook his head. Nothing much. I just made a new friend today. Jiwoo raised an eyebrow. A friend with lavender skin and silver eyes? Taeho did not answer. But his smile grew wider. In her guest quarters, Princess Yuna stood by the window. She looked at the stars and thought about the human who had offered to help her. He was strange. He was confusing. He made her feel things she could not name, but for the first time in her life, she did not want to run away from those feelings. She wanted to understand them. She wanted to understand him. The observation deck was quiet at night. Most crew members were asleep or working in other parts of the ship. Only the soft hum of the engines broke the silence. Taeho often came here when he could not sleep. He liked to watch the stars. They reminded him of home, of Earth, of everyone he had left behind to join this mission. Tonight, the deck was not empty. Princess Yuna stood alone near the large window. Her white hair glowed softly in the starlight. Her hands were pressed against the glass like she was trying to reach something far away. Taeho hesitated. He did not want to disturb her, but something about the way she stood made him worried. Her shoulders were tense. Her head was bowed low. He walked toward her slowly. His footsteps were soft on the metal floor. Princess? He said gently. Yuna turned quickly. Her silver eyes were wet. Had she been crying? Officer Kim, she said. Her voice was shaky. I did not hear you come in. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you. Taeho stood a few steps away, giving her space. Are you all right? Yuna turned back to the window. She did not answer. Taeho did not leave. Instead, he sat down on the floor near the window. He looked up at the stars and waited. Several minutes passed in silence. Then, Yuna spoke. Why are you still here? She asked. Most people would leave. I'm not most people, Taeho said. And you looked like you needed someone to stay. Yuna was quiet for another moment. Then, slowly, she sat down beside him. She kept a small distance between them, but it was closer than she had ever been before. I do not understand you, she admitted. You barely know me. Why do you care? Taeho thought about the question. It was a good question. Why did he care so much about this alien princess he had just met? Because you remind me of someone, he said finally. When I was young, I had a friend who was very shy. She always kept her feelings inside. She thought no one would understand her. One day, she stopped talking to everyone. She became very sick inside. He paused. I don't want that to happen to you. Yuna looked at him. Her eyes were filled with surprise. What happened to your friend? She got help. She learned that feelings are not weakness. She learned to trust people. Taeho smiled sadly. It took a long time, but she became happy again. Yuna looked down at her hands. Valorians do not believe in such things. We are taught that emotions are dangerous, that feeling too much will destroy us. Do you believe that? Yuna did not answer right away. When she spoke, her voice was barely a whisper. I do not know what I believe anymore. Taeho turned to face her. Can I ask you something personal? Yuna nodded slightly. What made you come here tonight? What were you thinking about? Yuna's hands tightened in her lap. For a long moment, she said nothing. Tae-ho thought she might refuse to answer. But then she started to speak. Today, my father told me about my future. After these negotiations end, I will return home. I will continue my duties. I will attend ceremonies and meetings. I will smile politely at people I do not care about. Her voice cracked. And one day, I will marry someone chosen by the council. Someone I have never met. Someone who will never know who I really am. Tae-ho felt his heart grow heavy. That sounds terrible. It is my duty, Yuna said. It is what I was born for. I have no right to complain. Everyone has the right to complain about things that hurt them. Yuna shook her head. Not Valorians. We do not complain. We do not feel. We simply exist. A tear rolled down her lavender cheek. I am so tired of simply existing. Tae-ho did not think. He reached out and gently took her hand. Yuna froze. Her whole body went stiff. In Valorian culture, touching someone's hand was extremely intimate. It was something lovers did in private, never in public. But Tae-ho did not let go. His hand was warm and gentle. You don't have to simply exist, he said softly. You can live. You can feel. You can be whoever you want to be. How? Yuna asked. Her voice was desperate. I do not know how. No one ever taught me. Tae-ho smiled at her. It was a warm, kind smile. Then, let me tell you about Earth. For the next hour, Tae-ho told Yuna stories. He told her about his childhood, about playing in the rain with his friends, about his mother's cooking, about the first time he fell in love. He told her about human festivals, where people danced and sang and laughed until morning. He told her about funerals, where people cried openly and held each other through their pain. He told her about weddings, where two people promised to share their lives and their hearts. Yuna listened to every word. Her silver eyes grew wide with wonder. She asked questions constantly. What does rain feel like? What does love feel like? What does it mean to dance? Tae-ho answered every question honestly. He did not judge her for not knowing. He did not laugh at her confusion. He simply shared his world with her. And somewhere during that hour, something changed. Yuna laughed. It was a small laugh, soft and uncertain, but it was real. It came from somewhere deep inside her, from a place she had kept locked away her whole life. Tae-ho stopped talking. He stared at her with wide eyes. Yuna covered her mouth with her hand. She looked shocked at herself. I laughed, she said. I have never laughed before. Not like that. How did it feel? Tae-ho asked. Yuna slowly lowered her hand. A tiny smile appeared on her lips. It felt good. It felt warm, like sunlight inside my chest. Tae-ho grinned. That's exactly what it should feel like. They sat together in comfortable silence. The stars continued to shine outside the window. The ship hummed softly around them. Finally, Yuna spoke again. Her voice was quiet but steady. Thank you, Tae-ho, for staying, for talking to me, for making me laugh. You're welcome, Yuna. He used her name without her title. It felt right. She did not correct him. When they finally said goodnight and went their separate ways, Yuna returned to her quarters with a strange feeling in her heart. It was warm and light, and a little frightening. She sat at her desk and opened her private journal. For a long time, she stared at the blank page. Then she began to write. Something is happening to me. When I am with him, I feel things I cannot name. My heart beats too fast. My face grows warm. I want to see him again. I want to hear his voice again. I want him to hold my hand again. She paused and looked at what she had written. What is happening to me? She did not know the answer. But she knew she wanted to find out. In his own quarters, Tae-ho lay in bed and stared at the ceiling. He could not stop thinking about her laugh, about her smile, about the way her hand felt in his. He was falling for her. He knew it was dangerous. He knew it was complicated. But he did not care. For the first time in his life, Kim Tae-ho was in love. Word traveled fast on a starship. Within a week, everyone knew about Tae-ho and Princess Yuna. The human crew members whispered in hallways. Some thought it was romantic. Others thought it was foolish. A few were worried about what it could mean for the peace negotiations. The Valorians were less subtle about their concerns. Prince Kale found Yuna in the library one morning. He was her older brother. Tall and cold like their father. His silver eyes held nothing but disapproval. "Sister," he said. His voice was flat. "We need to talk." Yuna set down the book she was reading. It was a human book about poetry that Tae-ho had given her. "You know what it is." Kale sat across from her. "The human. Kim Tae-ho. You have been spending too much time with him." Yuna felt her chest tighten. "He is teaching me about human culture. It is part of my duties as a member of the delegation. And in Yuna, do not lie to me." Kale's eyes narrowed. "I have seen how you look at him. I have heard reports about your meetings, late-night conversations, laughing together, holding hands." Yuna's face grew warm. "Those reports are exaggerated. Are they?" Kale leaned forward. "Yuna, do you understand what you are doing? Father is already suspicious. The High Council has sent messages asking about your behavior. You are embarrassing our family." "I am not." "You are." Kale's voice was sharp. "Humans are emotional creatures. They are unstable. They cannot control themselves. That is why they have wars. That is why they suffer. You cannot let yourself become like them." Yuna wanted to argue. She wanted to tell her brother that he was wrong, that humans were not unstable, that their emotions made them beautiful and kind and brave. But the words would not come. Years of training had taught her to stay silent. "I understand," she said quietly. "I will be more careful." Kale studied her for a long moment. Then he stood up. "Good. Remember who you are, Yuna. You are a princess of the Valorian Empire. Act like one." He left without another word. Yuna sat alone in the library. Her hands were shaking. Her eyes burned with tears she would not let fall. She thought about Tae-ho, about his warm smile, about his gentle voice, about the way he made her feel alive. Then she thought about her duty, her family, her empire. She was trapped between two worlds, and she did not know which one to choose. Meanwhile, Tae-ho faced his own problems. Captain Subin called him to her office that afternoon. Her expression was serious. "Sit down, Tae-ho." He sat. His stomach felt tight with worry. "I'll be direct with you," the captain said. "There are concerns about your relationship with Princess Yuna." "With respect, Captain, there is no relationship. We are just friends." "Friends who hold hands? Friends who meet in secret at night?" Subin raised an eyebrow. "I am not judging you, Tae-ho. But you need to understand the situation. These negotiations are fragile. One wrong move could destroy everything." Tae-ho lowered his head. "I understand. Do you?" The captain sighed. "The Valorian Emperor is very protective of his daughter. If he thinks you are pursuing her, he could see it as an insult. Or worse, an attempt to manipulate their royal family. I would never. I know you wouldn't. But they don't know that." Subin leaned back in her chair. "I'm not telling you to stop seeing her. I'm telling you to be careful. Very careful. The fate of this mission could depend on it." Tae-ho nodded slowly. "I'll be more careful." "Good. You're dismissed." That evening, Tae-ho found Ji-woo in the recreation room. His friend was lifting weights. But he stopped when he saw Tae-ho's face. "What happened?" Ji-woo asked. Tae-ho sat down heavily on a bench. "The captain told me to stay away from Yuna. The Valorians are angry. Everyone thinks I'm going to ruin the negotiations." Ji-woo set down the weights and sat beside him. "Are you going to listen?" "I don't know." Tae-ho put his head in his hands. "I care about her. Jiwoo. More than I should. But maybe everyone is right. Maybe I'm being selfish. Jiwoo was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke. Can I tell you something? When I first met you, I thought you were too soft, too kind. I thought the universe would eat you alive. He paused. But I was wrong. Your kindness is your strength. You see people that others ignore. You care when others look away. That's rare. No. Taeho looked up. What are you saying? I'm saying that Princess is lucky to have someone like you. And if you really care about her, you shouldn't give up just because it's hard. Jiwoo smiled. But you also need to be smart. Find a way to be with her that doesn't start a war. Taeho thought about his friend's words. He thought about Yuna. He thought about everything they had shared. He was not ready to give up. Not yet. That night, Yuna could not sleep. She lay in her bed and stared at the ceiling. Her brother's words echoed in her mind. Her father's cold eyes haunted her thoughts. But stronger than all of that was the memory of Taeho's smile. She got out of bed. She put on a simple robe. Before she knew what she was doing, she was walking through the quiet hallways of the ship. Her feet carried her to a familiar door. Taeho's quarters. She stood there, her heart pounding in her chest. Her hand rose to knock. She could hear her own breathing, fast and uneven. What was she doing? This was madness. If anyone saw her here, it would confirm every rumor. It would bring shame to her family. But she wanted to see him. She needed to see him. The feeling inside her was too strong to ignore. Her fingers touched the cold metal of the door. Then she heard footsteps in the distance. Fear shot through her body. She pulled her hand back and pressed herself against the wall. The footsteps grew closer. A Valorian guard walked past, patrolling the corridors. Yuna held her breath. The guard did not see her in the shadows. He walked on and disappeared around a corner. When he was gone, Yuna looked at Taeho's door one more time. Her heart ached. Her whole body trembled, but she could not do it. Not tonight. Not like this. She turned and walked away. Her steps were slow and heavy. Tears streamed down her face. She did not see the door open behind her. She did not see Taeho step into the hallway. Looking confused, he had heard something outside his door. When he looked out, he saw nothing. But on the floor, just outside his quarters, he found something. A single white flower. A Valorian flower. The kind that princesses wore in their hair. Taeho picked it up and held it gently. He looked down the empty hallway. Yuna. He whispered. He did not sleep that night. He sat by his window, holding the flower, thinking about the girl who had almost knocked on his door. And he made a decision. He would not give up on her. No matter what anyone said. No matter what obstacles stood in their way. He would find a way to reach her. He would find a way to save her, even if it meant risking everything. The grand banquet hall shone with golden light. Beautiful decorations hung from every wall. Music played softly in the background. It was the celebration of a tentative peace agreement between humans and Valorians. Everyone important was there. Captain Su Bin stood proudly with her senior officers. The Valorian emperor sat at the head table with his son and advisors. Diplomats from both sides exchanged polite words and careful smiles. Taeho stood near the back of the room. He wore his best uniform, but he felt uncomfortable. His eyes kept searching the crowd for one person. He found her. Princess Yuna sat beside her father. She wore a magnificent silver gown that sparkled like starlight. Her white hair was arranged in an elegant style, with small flowers woven through it. She looked beautiful, but she also looked miserable. Her face was pale, her silver eyes were empty. She sat perfectly still, like a statue, like she was not really there at all. Taeho wanted to go to her. He wanted to take her hand and lead her away from all of this. But he could not. Not here. Not in front of everyone. So he watched. And he waited. The emperor stood up. The room fell silent. Tonight, we celebrate a new chapter between our peoples, he said. His voice was cold and formal. But we also celebrate something else. A new alliance between our empire and the Aldorian Federation. Teho frowned. He had not heard about any alliance with the Aldorians. The Emperor continued. To seal this alliance, my daughter, Princess Yuna, will marry Prince Vorath of Aldoria. The wedding will take place 1 month from today. The room burst into surprised whispers. The human officers exchanged confused glances. This was news to everyone. But Teho did not hear the whispers. He only saw Yuna. Her face had gone completely white. Her hands gripped the edge of the table so hard that her knuckles turned pale. Her eyes were wide with shock and fear. She had not known. Her own father had arranged her marriage without telling her. The Emperor raised his glass. To peace. To alliance. To the future. Everyone raised their glasses and repeated the words. Everyone, except Yuna. She sat frozen, unable to move. After the toast, people returned to their conversations. The music started playing again. Everything continued as if nothing had happened. But something had happened. Something terrible. Teho watched Yuna carefully. She sat still for several minutes. Then, slowly, she stood up. She whispered something to her brother and walked toward the door. No one seemed to notice her leave. No one except Teho. He waited a few moments. Then he followed her. The hallways were empty. Most people were still at the banquet. Teho walked quickly, searching every corridor and room. He found her in the cargo bay. It was a large, dark space, filled with boxes and equipment. Yuna sat on the floor, behind a stack of crates, hidden from view, and she was crying. Teho had never seen a Valorian cry before. He had thought they could not cry. But Yuna was sobbing. Teho's heart broke. He walked toward her slowly. His footsteps were soft, but she heard him. She looked up, and when she saw who it was, something in her crumbled. Teho, she whispered. Her voice was broken. I cannot do this anymore. He sat down beside her. He did not speak. He did not try to fix anything. He simply sat with her while she cried. Minutes passed. Maybe hours. Teho lost track of time. He just stayed there, a quiet presence in her storm of pain. Finally, Yuna's tears slowed. Her breathing calmed. She wiped her face with trembling hands. I am sorry, she said. You should not see me like this. It is shameful. There is no shame in feeling pain, Teho said gently. There is no shame in crying. It means you are alive. Yuna laughed bitterly. Alive? I do not feel alive. I feel like a puppet. Like a doll that people move around for their own purposes. She looked at her hands. My whole life, I have done what they told me. I have been the perfect princess. I have hidden every feeling, every dream, every wish. And for what? So they can sell me to a stranger? Teho felt anger rise in his chest. Not at Yuna, but at everyone who had hurt her. You don't have to do this, he said. You have a choice. Do I? Yuna's eyes met his. They were filled with despair. If I refuse, I bring shame to my family. My father will disown me. My brother will hate me. My people will call me a traitor. But if you accept, you will be miserable for the rest of your life. What does my happiness matter? I am a princess. My duty is to serve my empire. Teho reached out and took her hand. She did not pull away. Your happiness matters, he said firmly. It matters to me. You are not just a princess. You are Yuna. You are kind and curious and brave. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be loved. Yuna stared at him. More tears fell from her eyes. But these were different. Softer. Warmer. Why? She asked. Why do you care so much about me? Taeho squeezed her hand. He had hidden his feelings for too long. He could not hide them anymore. "Because I love you," he said simply. "I know it's crazy. I know it's impossible. But I love you, Yuna. I have loved you since the first moment I saw you." Yuna's breath caught in her throat. Her silver eyes went wide. "You love me?" "Yes. But I am Valorian. I am different. I do not know how to love. I do not know how to feel." Taeho smiled gently. "That's not true. You feel more than anyone I have ever met. You just never had permission to show it." He brought her hand to his chest. "Feel my heartbeat. This is how much you matter to me." Yuna felt his heart beating against her palm. Strong and steady. Real. Something inside her broke free. All the walls she had built, all the chains she had worn, all the masks she had carried, they shattered like glass. She threw her arms around him and held him tight. She buried her face in his shoulder and cried again. But this time, she was not crying from pain. She was crying from relief. "I feel it too," she whispered. "I do not know what to call it. But when I am with you, I feel warm. I feel safe. I feel like I am finally myself." Taeho held her close. He stroked her hair gently. "That's called love, Yuna. And you don't have to be afraid of it." They stayed like that for a long time, holding each other in the darkness of the cargo bay. The universe continued to spin around them. But they did not care. For the first time in her life, Princess Yuna allowed herself to feel completely. And for the first time in his life, Kim Taeho knew what it meant to hold something precious. When they finally pulled apart, Yuna looked at him with determined eyes. "I do not know what will happen tomorrow," she said. "I do not know what my father will do. But I know one thing." She took a deep breath. "I do not want to lose you." "No." Taeho cupped her face in his hands. "You won't. Whatever happens, we will face it together. I promise." Yuna smiled. It was a small, fragile smile, but it was the most beautiful thing Taeho had ever seen. "Together," she repeated. Outside, the stars continued to shine. The ship continued to drift through space. The universe continued to turn. But inside that cargo bay, two hearts had become one, and nothing would ever be the same. The night was quiet. Most of the ship had gone to sleep after the banquet. The hallways were dark and empty. Only the soft hum of the engines broke the silence. Princess Yuna lay in her bed, but sleep would not come. Her mind was too full of thoughts. Her heart was too full of feelings. She thought about Taeho, about his words, about his confession. He loved her. A human loved her. The idea should have been strange. It should have been wrong. Everything she had been taught said it was impossible, but it did not feel impossible. It felt right. More right than anything she had ever known. She thought about her father's announcement, about the Aldorian prince she was supposed to marry. She tried to imagine spending her life with a stranger, growing old beside someone who did not know her, living in a palace of cold silence. The thought made her feel sick. Then she thought about Taeho again, about his warm smile, about his gentle hands, about the way he looked at her, like she was the only person in the universe. If she had to choose between duty and love, what would she choose? The answer came faster than she expected. She would choose love. Yuna sat up in bed. Her heart was pounding. Her hands were trembling, but her mind was clear. She had tried to run away from her feelings. She had tried to hide. She had tried to be the perfect princess her father wanted, but she was done running. She was done hiding. She was done pretending. She wanted Taeho. She wanted to be with him. She wanted to feel alive. And she was going to tell him. Tonight, she got out of bed and put on a simple dress. She did not bother with her hair or makeup. She did not care how she looked. She just needed to see him. The hallways were empty as she walked. Her footsteps echoed softly on the metal floor. Every corner she turned, she expected to see a guard or a crew member. But she saw no one. It felt like the universe was giving her permission. She reached his door. The same door she had stood before, unable to knock. The same door that had haunted her dreams. This time, she did not hesitate. She raised her hand and knocked. For a long moment, nothing happened. Yuna's heart beat so fast she thought it might burst. What if he was asleep? What if he did not want to see her? What if she had imagined everything? Then the door opened. Taeho stood there, wearing simple sleeping clothes. His hair was messy. His eyes were tired. But when he saw her, his whole face changed. Yuna? He sounded surprised. What are you doing here? Are you okay? She looked at him. Her silver eyes were glistening with unshed tears. Her whole body was trembling. I tried to stay away, she said. Her voice was shaky, but determined. I tried to control myself. I tried to do what my father wanted, what my brother wanted, what everyone wanted. Taeho stepped closer to her. Yuna, but I cannot do it anymore. She pressed her hand against her chest. Every time I try to push you away, this feeling grows stronger. Every time I tell myself to forget you, I think about you more. I do not know how to stop it. I do not want to stop it. Tears began to fall down her cheeks. I am scared, Taeho. I am so scared. I have never felt this way before. I do not know what to do. But I know that I cannot live without you. I do not want to live without you. She looked up at him with desperate eyes. Please. Tell me what to do. Tell me how to make this feeling stop hurting. Taeho reached out and wiped the tears from her face. His touch was gentle and warm. It hurts because you're fighting it, he said softly. When you stop fighting, the pain will fade. Trust me. How do I stop fighting? Taeho smiled. You already have. You came here tonight. That took more courage than anything I have ever seen. He took her hand and led her inside his quarters. The door closed behind them. The room was small but comfortable. Books were stacked on a desk. A few personal items decorated the walls. It was simple, but it felt like home. Yuna looked around nervously. I have never been in a human's private room before. It's not very impressive, Taeho admitted. But it's mine. They sat down together on the small couch near the window. The stars shone brightly outside, painting the room in silver light. For a while, neither of them spoke. They just sat together, their shoulders almost touching. The silence was comfortable. Then Yuna spoke. When I was young, I used to dream about the stars. I would imagine flying among them, free and wild. No rules, no duties, just me and the endless sky. She paused. My father said it was a foolish dream. He said I needed to focus on reality, so I stopped dreaming. Taeho listened carefully. But when I am with you, I feel like I am dreaming again, like anything is possible, like I can be anyone I want to be. She turned to look at him. Is that what love feels like? Like dreaming while you are awake? Taeho felt his heart swell. Yes, that's exactly what it feels like. Taeho, Yuna smiled. A real smile. The kind that reached her eyes and lit up her whole face. Then I never want to wake up. They talked through the night. They shared stories and secrets. They laughed and cried. They held hands and looked at the stars. Yuna told him about her childhood, about the loneliness, about the pressure, about all the times she wanted to scream but stayed silent instead. Taeho told her about Earth, about the oceans and mountains, about the festivals and holidays, about all the things he missed and all the things he wanted to show her. As the hours passed, they grew closer. Not just in body, but in spirit. Two souls that had found each other across the vastness of space. When the first light of the artificial morning began to fill the room, They both felt different. Changed. Complete. Yuna rested her head on his shoulder. What happens now? Taeho put his arm around her. Now, we face whatever comes. Together. My father will be furious. I know. My brother will hate me. Maybe. Maybe not. The negotiations could fail. Your captain could punish you. Everything could fall apart. Taeho lifted her chin so she was looking at him. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. As long as I have you, I can face anything. Yuna's eyes filled with fresh tears. But these were tears of joy. I never knew it was possible to feel this way, she whispered. I never knew someone could make me feel so safe, so loved, so free. Taeho leaned his forehead against hers. You deserve all of it, Yuna. Every moment of happiness, every feeling of love. You deserve everything. She closed her eyes. Promise me something, anything. Promise me that no matter what happens, you will not let me go. Promise me that you will fight for us. Taeho kissed her forehead gently. I promise. They stayed together as the morning light grew stronger. Outside, the ship was waking up. The day was beginning. Reality was calling, but they were not afraid anymore. They had found each other. They had chosen each other, and no force in the universe was going to tear them apart. When Yuna finally left his quarters, she held her head high. Her eyes were red from crying, but her face was peaceful. She knew what was coming. She knew it would be hard, but she was ready, because she was not alone anymore. She had Taeho, and together, they could face anything. The final day of negotiations arrived like a storm. The main conference hall was filled with tension. Human officers sat on one side, Valorian nobles sat on the other. Everyone knew something was about to happen. They could feel it in the air. Emperor Aldrich of the Valorian Empire stood at the head of the table. His face was like carved stone. His silver eyes burned with cold fury. Princess Yuna stood before him. She had requested this meeting. She had asked to address both delegations. Her father had agreed, thinking she wanted to apologize for her recent behavior. He was wrong. Taeho stood among the human officers, watching. His heart was pounding, but his face was calm. He had faith in Yuna. He believed in her. Whatever happened next, he would stand by her. The emperor spoke first. You asked for this meeting, daughter. Speak your piece. Yuna took a deep breath. She looked around the room at all the faces watching her. Valorian nobles, who had known her since birth. Human officers she had only met weeks ago. Her brother, Prince Kael, who sat with his arms crossed and his expression unreadable. She was afraid, but she was not going to hide anymore. Father, she began. Her voice was clear and steady. Honored delegates, I asked for this meeting because I have something important to say. The emperor nodded impatiently. Then say it. Yuna's hands trembled slightly, but she did not stop. All my life, I have done what was expected of me. I have followed our traditions. I have suppressed my emotions. I have been the perfect princess. She paused. But I am not perfect. I never was. I am Valorian by blood, but I have a heart that feels, a heart that loves. Murmurs spread through the Valorian side of the room. The emperor's eyes narrowed dangerously. What is the meaning of this? He demanded. Yuna stood taller. The meaning is this. I will not marry Prince Vorath. I will not be sold to a stranger for political gain. I refuse. The room exploded with noise. Valorian nobles shouted in outrage. Human officers exchanged shocked glances. Prince Kael rose from his seat, his face filled with disbelief. The emperor raised his hand, and silence fell. You refuse. His voice was deadly quiet. You dare refuse a direct order from your emperor? From your father? Yuna met his gaze without flinching. I dare because I must. I have spent my whole life being afraid. Afraid of feeling. Afraid of living. Afraid of being myself. Her voice grew stronger. I am not afraid anymore. This is madness. The Emperor stepped toward her. This is the influence of those humans. They have poisoned your mind with their emotional nonsense. No. Yuna shook her head. They have opened my eyes. They have shown me that there is another way to live. A way where feelings are not shameful. Where love is not weakness. Where happiness is not forbidden. She looked at Taeho. Their eyes met across the room. In that moment, she drew strength from him. Courage. Hope. I have found someone, she said softly. Someone who makes me feel alive. Someone who sees me. Not the princess, but me. And I will not give that up. Not for tradition. Not for politics. The Emperor's face twisted with anger. Who? Which human has seduced my daughter? Taeho stepped forward before anyone could stop him. I have, Your Majesty. Every eye in the room turned to him. Jiwoo made a small sound of alarm. Captain Subin closed her eyes briefly. The Emperor stared at Taeho like he was looking at an insect. You? A simple liaison officer? You think you are worthy of a princess of the Valorian Empire? Taeho stood his ground. I think Yuna is worthy of choosing her own path. I think she is worthy of being happy. And I think your empire is worthy of leaders who are not afraid to feel. How dare you? He is right. The voice came from the side of the room. Everyone turned in surprise. Prince KL was standing. His face was no longer cold. It was thoughtful, troubled, human. Brother, Yuna whispered. KL walked forward slowly. He stopped beside Yuna and faced his father. I have watched our sister these past weeks, he said. I have seen her change. At first, I was angry. I thought she was betraying our ways. But then, I looked more closely. He took a deep breath. She was not becoming less Valorian. She was becoming more alive, more present, more real. I have never seen her so. Herself. The Emperor frowned. Kale, what are you saying? I am saying that maybe we have been wrong. Maybe our traditions of emotional suppression are not strength. Maybe they are fear. Kale looked at his father with steady eyes. I am tired of being afraid, father. I am tired of pretending I feel nothing when my heart is full. He turned to Yuna. Sister, I support you. Whatever you choose, I will stand by your side. Yuna's eyes filled with tears. Brother. The room fell into stunned silence. No one had expected the prince to support the princess. It changed everything. Captain Subin stepped forward. This was her moment to act. Your Majesty, she said respectfully. Humanity has a saying. The heart wants what the heart wants. We believe that every person has the right to choose their own path. To love who they love. To live as they wish. She looked at Yuna with kindness. Your daughter has not betrayed her people. She has simply chosen to be herself. That is not weakness. That is the greatest strength anyone can have. The Emperor stood frozen. His face was unreadable. Then, slowly, something changed in his silver eyes. The anger faded. In its place came something unexpected. Sadness. Loss. Recognition. Yuna, he said quietly. Yuna stepped toward her father. I do. With all my heart. And you are willing to give up everything for him? Your title? Your home? Your family? Yuna hesitated. Then she spoke carefully. I hope I do not have to. I hope you will let me keep my family while building a new life. But if you force me to choose, she straightened her shoulders. I choose love. The Emperor was silent for a very long time. Everyone waited. The fate of two civilizations hung in the balance. Finally, the Emperor spoke. His voice was tired, old. Your mother was like you, he said softly. When we were young, She used to smile all the time. She was full of warmth and light. When she died, I buried those memories. I thought emotions were the enemy. I thought if I felt nothing, I would never be hurt again. He looked at Yuna with something like tenderness. I was wrong. The enemy was not feeling. The enemy was fear. He turned to the room. Princess Yuna will not marry Prince Vorath. The alliance with Aldoria will be renegotiated. My daughter will remain aboard this human vessel as a cultural envoy to continue building bridges between our peoples. Relief flooded through the room. Jiwoo let out a breath he had been holding. Captain Subin nodded with satisfaction. Yuna ran to her father and embraced him. The emperor stiffened at first, unused to such contact. Then, slowly, he put his arms around her. Thank you, father. Yuna whispered. Do not thank me yet, he replied. You have chosen a difficult path. But perhaps it is time for our people to walk new paths. The ceremony ended peacefully. Both sides signed the peace agreement with renewed hope. The future was uncertain, but it was bright. Later that day, the horizon's edge prepared to depart. The Valorian homeworld grew smaller in the windows as the ship entered deep space. Taeho and Yuna stood together on the observation deck. They watched the stars stretch and blur as the ship jumped to faster speeds. Yuna leaned against Taeho's shoulder. I am scared, she admitted. I do not know what the future holds. Taeho put his arm around her. Neither do I, but that's okay. We don't need to know everything. We just need to face it together. Yuna smiled. It was a bright, beautiful smile that lit up her whole face. Together, she took his hand and held it tight. Her lavender fingers intertwined with his tan ones. 2 different colors. 2 different worlds. But perfectly matched. Thank you, Taeho, she said softly. Thank you for teaching me how to feel. Taeho smiled and kissed the top of her head. You always knew how to feel, Yuna. You just needed permission. She laughed. A real, joyful laugh that echoed through the observation deck. The stars continued to shine around them. The ship continued its journey through the endless universe. And somewhere in that vastness, 2 hearts beat as one. A human and a princess. An officer and a royal. 2 souls who had found each other against all odds. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders. But for Taeho and Yuna, the greatest wonder was right beside them. It was love, and it was just the beginning.